I was discussing Maya with a friend, and he jokingly punched me and said, "Ramesh, did you feel it? It's not an illusion." And I told him, "Well, you don't have to be that dramatic. You could have shaken hands with me or hugged me, and I still would have felt you. But all of that, I also will tell you, is part of the Maya. We know, even using physics, all this is perceived by our brain. Just like what we see is perceived by our eyes through the brain, touch is perceived the same way. The pain is perceived the same way. So we tend to sort of separate. Looking is enough to prove that it may not be Maya, I can see this. But the whole idea is beyond that. Our brain has the capacity to look at something and say, that's a pink flower. It pains when you hit me. Then why not think that it may even have the capacity to see beyond that and say, well, that pain actually is part of something bigger, and if I see the bigger thing, this won't matter to me. And that's what we are getting into in the next couple of verses. It says, even at the old age, if you see everything to be part of the Creator, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, me. But you can think of whatever made this all happen. It's part of the same plan. These small things that are happening, our old age, impending death, all that are part of the same thing. If we can understand that, there is freedom. It's not required that you have complete detachment. Become a sannyasi. We talked about it in the previous verses, previous chapters as well. But it is enough to say, have some detachments. That would give us, that would free us from many of the shackles. And Krishna goes on to explain that when he says everything is me, what does that mean? And he talks about Adi Bhutam, Adi Daivam, and Adi Jnanam, meaning the origin of all the elements, everything that is made out of matter, everything that is not made of matter. We talked about it in the early parts of this chapter. Things like ego, our mind, intellect, all of those, as well as the Adi knowledge and the yajnam that you do, Adi yajnam, not Adi jnanam. All the sacrifices that you make, they all originate from the same entity before singularity. If you want to talk physics. If you can understand that, then there is some kind of freedom. That is not very hard. I have felt that. We cannot get out of these dualities, good and bad, sorrow and happiness and all that. It keeps bugging us. But even a bit of detachment. There are too many things that we are attached to. As we let go of a few things, you can see that freedom emerging. I believe that there is an optimum level that will give us total freedom even without having to give up everything. In other words, you give up this, and that takes care of 95% of the detachment. You don't have to make it trivial that I have to give up food, I have to give up sitting in a sofa, I got to sleep on the floor. Those are all not necessary. Those are trivial things. You can give up these general things, some of the big items, attachment to children, attachment to your small items. You break a china, okay, no big deal. Just even if you don't have the money to buy another one, it doesn't matter. Let's use plastic. That kind of detachments is enough. So general detachment from trivial material stuff, general detachment from my mother used to call it ajnanam, which is blind attachment to humans, possessiveness to humans. So if you just let go of some of these things, that itself frees you. And that may be sufficient to start seeing that bigger picture. That's what's said in these next two verses.